Welcome to Downshift, my name is Matt. Now, several years ago during COVID, off-roading and overland exploded in popularity. Everyone wanted to get outside in the most responsible and beautiful way that they could. And a lot of that meant kitting out a truck or a van and hitting the road to see some of the most incredible and beautiful places in the country. I mean, even I took to buying a 5th gen 4Runner TRD off-road and it was great. I mean, not necessarily on paper, but I loved it. But I never really got to the point of actually kitting it out and taking it really anywhere. But these next few days, I'm bringing to life the dream that I think so many of us had about 4 years ago. And that's all thanks to my friends at Super Pacific, who have not only sponsored this video, but also given me the most complete car camping kit imaginable here in their Switchback X1. So Sadie and I got on a plane, flew to Portland, Oregon, met with the headquarters, and here we are at the beach. So let's take a little tour about what we got going on. It's 3:30 in the morning. Came down to O'Hare the night before because it's 3:30 in the morning and we need to be on a plane in like 3 hours. Taco. All right, cool. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We are in Portland, Oregon, and we're going to be taking the Super Pacific Switchback X1 for a bit of a excursion. But first we're going to get some biscuits. So, did some research ahead of time. Biscuits are kind of the thing in Portland, I guess. But we were also just in Denver at the Denver Biscuit Company, so we have to do an A/B test.
I'm excited.
We'll see. Okay, so first few bites, pretty dang good.
Very good.
I think we can agree that this is a great biscuit. Denver had great biscuits. Good job, good job, both cities. So lunch was delicious. We're gonna head to the store, grab some supplies, and then head out to the coast. We're staying at Fort Stevens. Fort Stevens. Local. This reminds me a lot of that Top Gear episode or Grand Tour episode where they're like driving beach buggies down the beach.
Yes, that's true.
This is just like that in a very not like that kind of way, but
a little overcast of a day, but look how gorgeous it is.
Now, before we talk about the cool things going on up here, I want to talk about the car because, of course, this being a car channel, we'll talk about that. Now, if you are going to go off-road, you probably want one of the most reliable and bulletproof vehicles ever, which is why you get a 3rd gen Tacoma. This is great. It's got 4x4. We've got some all-terrain tires. We've got some aftermarket wheels down here from Nomad. We've got some Ironman 4x4 stuff going on underneath. And special thanks to my friend Peter, who owns Super Pacific, who's letting me use his truck this week. Very cool of you to do, but what's sexier than a gray Tacoma, am I right? To be honest, we've done a bunch of videos on Tacomas on the channel before, so we are going to focus mostly on the Switchback X1, but you got to have a good solid rig underneath your camper, and they certainly do here. So we'll talk about what this thing is. Now, as you can see here, this is Super Pacific's Switchback X1. It's a full camping enclosure that you have. You drop it into your bed, then you've got a wedge-style rooftop tent up there. And it's pretty universal. They've got some that fit mid-size trucks, they've got full-size truck options, 5-foot, 6-foot bed, and they're even developing one for the new, I guess it's not necessarily new, but they're developing a new unit that's gonna fit the Rivian R1T, so you electric folks will be covered. And the other thing too that I've noticed is it's been pretty invisible as we've driven around all week. This thing is only about 340 to 380 pounds, depending on how you spec it, what size and everything. So it's a great little unit, and totally comprehensive. So what you're probably wondering is, what is this thing made out of? It's high strength, lightweight aluminum. It's put together with rivets like you would see in the aerospace industry. And all of the pieces that you see here are manufactured in the United States. It comes together in Portland, Oregon. It's assembled there at their HQ. If you go to their HQ and have this thing installed, that's gonna be free and you won't have to pay sales tax. And this has a 2-year warranty. So peace of mind from the fellas at Super Pacific. But let's start to talk about some of the versatility. Now there's 3 doors that you can get that make up the basic walls of the unit. And each one is aluminum. It's riveted together as we talked about, and you even get the Super Pacific logo riveted into each side door. Now you do have a little handle here, and each of the doors locks individually. And each one has a gas strut in here. And as you can see, check this out. We've got all sorts of MOLLE panels in here. There's different straps. We've got a snatch strap down here, some max tracks. We'll take a look at the next door though. Now this being your back door, there's a couple ways that you can option it. We have here optioned with the auxiliary window back here. It's a little bit nicer. You can kind of see through the back, but importantly for Uncle Sam, you have the third brake light integrated into your unit here. Again, it locks, it's got the strut, opens up really nice. And of course, on the third one, same kind of design, logo, but we have these mesh bins. You can either get full canvas or you can get this mesh stuff that'll help things breathe. And if you're gonna go for a swim and things get wet, it's nice to have a little breathability as things dry out. But we'll close this up. Now, as you see, we have the kind of OD military style green. There's 6 different colors that you can get your aluminum kind of capper built into. And of course, you've seen a couple different variations here, but there's loads of different bins, pockets, straps, and all sorts of stuff. Versatility is the name of the game here in your Switchback X1. Now, obviously, power is a big factor for modern day life. I'm not gonna include this massive battery pack, but what they do give you is these standard wire chases. So if you were to integrate some sort of solar panel on the roof of your tent perhaps, or any sort of power, you've got nice, easy places to wire and run cable through, so you can even send power up into your tent. Pretty much anywhere in your Switchback, you're gonna have power if you want it. Now obviously the main benefit of the tent is for sleeping, but sometimes during the day, the weather's maybe a little inclement like you have in the Pacific Northwest, and you just wanna hang out in the back of your X1. And it's super easy to do so. You fold the mattress back, you shove that piece back, and now you're in living room mode. I have 8 feet of total headroom. I'm 6'1", I can stand up in here totally comfortably, and now we have a living space to hang out in. Super nice. But most of the time, you're probably gonna have it in bed mode, and it slides super, super easily. And with this, you have 20 inches of space, which is perfect for your MOLLE panel. You just pop this up into the track. It lays perfectly flush. It also lays the other way, so you can take advantage of this little extra, this little pad, so you've got a little extra pillow, a little extra space if you're a little bit taller. But we'll take this down and I'll show you the tent, because it is fantastic up here. My wife and I both slept up here last night, and it was perfectly comfortable. Almost slept as well as we would in a hotel. And I think that speaks volumes that I'm even making that comparison. And a lot of that comes from the airflow and the management. Now obviously you have the kind of bug screen protector thing that you would here. It works on a zipper, as you might expect from a conventional tent. But then you've got these roll away kind of nylon, I don't forget what the fabric is called, but really, really effective in keeping moisture out. It also did a really good job of keeping heat in. We were worried about being cold last night. We weren't cold at all. But the nice thing was it was raining, so we had these closed, and you can work with these little clips. When you squeeze them together, which I'm not doing well, they actually vent a little bit. So you can have this closed, and you can have these vents open, get a little airflow, even with some inclement weather. But look at what we have here on the roof. This is an extra, this is their like thermopuff insulated lining. Again, keeping us nice and warm and dry last night. And you also have a little bit of extra storage up here. It works really well. I had my phone, my keys, my wallet up here. We had a little light dangling up here. Really, really fun, a very unique experience. And of course, it's branded with Super Pacific, but it was just a cool and comfortable place to hang out to sleep. And now that we're here at the beach, it's a nice place to hang out too. But as we talked about comfort, I should mention, this is the Megawatt Duo LW Plus mattress. It's an inflatable mattress, but it also has some built-in foam to it, I believe. It's really comfortable, even deflated. You are gonna have to deflate it to get the tent to come down and latch all the way. But since it does work with like any normal 12-volt plug or inflator, you can get almost infinite levels of firmness. So it's basically like a sleep number bed. It's that luxurious here in the Super Pacific. as we jump out, we can take a look at the outside of the tent. And as you can see, this is the khaki color. There's 3 different fabric colors that you can get for your tent to go along with the 6 different aluminum colors that you can get for your powder coat for your bed capper. So infinite levels of customizability, maybe not quite, but still really nice to have. But the other thing that I want to draw attention to is this T-channel system here. It's all around the outside of the camper. And it works with basically, it's almost universal in the fact that you can hook up a Thule rack, you can hook up a Yakima. You've also got some on the top of the camper as well, which we'll show you in a minute. But here, what Peter's got is a 270-degree Yakima awning, which we're definitely going to use and have a couple of beers in a minute. And the last thing I'm going to show you guys before I have a beer and relax on this vacation is how to close this tent. You hop up on the tailgate. You want to make sure that everything is out of the sleeping compartment. All pillows, blankets, basically everything. Move the mattress a little bit towards you, towards the back of the truck. Make sure that it's deflated, and then you just give it a big hug. Left, right, squeeze in, it comes down, and you just make sure that you're not getting any fabric spilling over the side. So we'll check. That side looks okay. This side looks okay. Double check, push it down, and it latches perfectly. And just like that, you're on the road. Is done. Food has been made. Now it's just time to relax. It's not such a bad view.
It's pretty good.
And behind the wheel, I've actually been really surprised. With the Super Pacific switchback on the back, it's been fairly invisible. We went to Disappointment or Cape Disappointment today, and Sadie even said that she had forgotten that it was back there. It doesn't make a lot of noise, it doesn't make a lot of wind noise or whistling when you're on the highway, it doesn't creak, it doesn't rattle. I mean, it's on top of a Tacoma, so it's already not super fast, it doesn't get great fuel economy. Been averaging about 15.6 mpg. It's not horrible, but it's actually legitimately pretty invisible when it's on the back of your truck. You can't really see out the rear view mirror here, but of course you've got your side mirrors, and the fact is, it's actually pretty decent. And before we wrap up the video, I just want to cover a couple things that either I learned or maybe I wasn't not expecting, but things that I took away from this whole experience with living in the truck, camping in the truck, being out on the beach, and the whole Super Pacific experience. So the first thing, which again, you kind of already knew, but when you're out there, you are truly relying on your vehicle. So the Tacoma and its history and lineage of durability and reliability totally makes sense. Also in the Midwest where I live, it's a lot of tighter forested trails, so something smaller and more agile makes a lot more sense than something like a big Raptor or a TRX or something like that. But I did say 2 years ago when I tested the then new Ford F-150 hybrid that was probably the slept-on overland rig of that year, and I kind of still stand by that because the F-150 and its hybrid gets you, well, obviously the hybrid, so you get better fuel economy and then improved range. In the new Tacoma that we even tested the other week, we're seeing like barely over 300 miles for a tank, or just under, and that's with the new hybrid as well. So the F-150 hybrid was getting close to like 500 miles a tank, and that's great if you're going to want to do some distance overlanding. The other thing is that F-150 hybrid has that like Pro Power onboard thing where you can get up to like 7.2 kilowatts of inverter or onboard power generator stuff that you can just plug into the truck and just go. You don't have to necessarily get a Jackery or a Goal Zero or something like that. You just have power. Of course, you've got the truck running that way, but you also have zone lighting. There's a couple little other things. Of course, the bed itself is a little bit wider, and if you can go for a 6-foot bed, you get a little bit more length. It's just, when you get into something like this living situation, every little inch matters, and they've done a great job maximizing the space in this X1, but just a little bit more space from like a full-size truck you weigh your pros and cons, having something smaller and more agile for tighter trails, or something bigger and more livable for more long-term overlanding and camping. And the last thing about the F-150 is you get the bed utility package and you get a bed step that comes out of the end of the tailgate, and that would be kind of nice. But the second thing that I learned is just more reflecting on my lifestyle and how I know that I operate, and it's the fact that convenience is king. Now, realistically, the thing that's going to keep me from going out and exploring and having these adventures is if it's going to be inconvenient, or if I even think that it's going to be a bit of a hassle. And you know, that's to a degree. Of course, I'm willing to deal with some bit of inconvenience, but the X1 here is, I think, reflecting on it now, probably the most convenient way to go camping, to go about this whole thing. There's no trailer that you have to worry about backing up in parking lots or anything. It's almost invisible on the road, incredibly little wind noise or road noise added from this camper. It's got a living space that you can go into living room mode, and then of course you've got a nice decent sleeping area that my wife and I could sleep comfortably in, and legitimately comfortably in. And the last thing is that it's just so convenient and easy to just pop this thing up or pop it down. The struts are great. It's easy to take down and stow away when you want to get up and go, even if you just want to go and have a coffee. If you just don't want to have the drip coffee that you brought with you, if you just want to go, you know, leave the campsite and get a nicer coffee or whatever, it's so easy to just tear down and get on the road really quickly. Number 3 was the importance of the daily livable things that you don't really think about too much, and it's the fact that you have water, power, cleaning, and bathroom stuff. So water, of course, you got Molly panels, ratchet straps, you bring in your own 5-gallon tank or whatever it is, and then power. You know, you've got a solar panel back here, you can mount it up on the roof, you have power, charge your phone, whatever, run a range extender, whatever you need. It's great. And then cleaning. Just bring some stuff to keep your stuff clean. Wash dishes, wash your feet. We got sand all over the bed of this thing, so we had to go and clean that out when we got back. But just things to keep in mind, things that you don't really think about day to day. And number 4 is that views are crucial, at least for me. I know some people go out and they camp in like the same spot and have a similar view all the time, but for me, having the experience of being able to take the truck out to the beach, drive on the beach, and then find a quiet spot to pop up the camper and then just sit in my loft up and watch the waves, it was just so cool. And then number 5 is the weather. We kind of got the true Pacific Northwest experience this week, in which we went out to the state park and we had about an hour and a half, and then it started really kind of misting, and then the mist intensified for the next not 24 hours, but probably about 18 hours. So I was a little concerned about the feasibility of our shoot, but when we started to leave and drive around the area of Astoria and up into Washington for Cape Disappointment, like, we saw people playing pickleball, we saw people out on motorcycles, we saw people just living their life. And I think you kind of have to do that if you're going to be dealing with this weather. You can't let it stop you. So we didn't. We went out and we explored Cape Disappointment, got kind of soaked, and then went back, and eventually the weather did improve and we got to spend some time on the beach having some fun. But yeah, you got to just embrace everything that comes with it. And number 6 was the scenery. I mean, I'd never really spent much time up here in the Pacific Northwest, and just the scenery, the mountains were spectacular, the trees, the forest, the roads driving through the mountains, weirdly well paved. Like, every road was in really good shape, and that was really cool because it allowed me to focus more on taking in a little bit more of the scenery, especially at sunset when the sun is coming down through these trees and they're all covered in moss. It looks so like angelic and ethereal. It looks really, really cool. So first experience in the Pacific Northwest was absolutely stunning, and the geography is magnificent. And then the 7th thing, we didn't just go out and camp, we did come back to the city and hang out in Portland a bit, and what an interesting and unique place, to be sure. We started our day with Voodoo Donuts, which were fantastic. I have a big donut obsession and addiction, so that was a great itch to scratch there. And then we got coffee at Stumptown, which was fantastic. Really good, unique flavors. I got like I tried the pomegranate iced coffee thing, which was intense, but really good actually. We went to a few vintage stores, which were cool, got some interesting finds, and then we went to Powell's Books and checked that out. We went to some food truck stuff. There's food trucks everywhere here, and it was great. And then we finished the day in the most Wisconsin way that we could think of, and that was at Deschutes for a couple beers. So that was a great day. And the last thing that I guess I want to cover is just like the overarching experience. I started this video by saying like 4 years ago, or whenever it was, that I really started to have this dream of like, you'd see stuff online and you're like, that looks so cool, and I would love to do that, but the barrier to entry is kind of high. I didn't know, there's so many different directions that you can take your off-road rig or your build or whatever. And I'm so grateful that I got to come out here with the Switchback. The X1 here, it was fantastic, bulletproof. It had a place for everything. Everything was in its place. It was organized, it was convenient, it was fantastic. The scenery was incredible. So a huge thank you to the Super Pacific team for having me out, sponsoring the video, and then kind of letting this dream become a reality. It was not a meet your heroes moment. It was genuinely cool, and it was really fun and totally worth it. So thank you to them for making this possible. Thank you to you for watching. Hope you liked it, and we'll see you in the next one.